Meanwhile, what happens to the average guy like us? Well, here's a story of Catherine Lennon. Her husband passed away in 2008. She wanted to figure out how to keep making payments on her house, but the banks were like, oh, yummy for our tummy, time to foreclose. She's like, no, but I want to make the payments. Can you just tell me how to make the payments? And they're like, no, not going to do it. Look, there's a story on this from MSNBC.com. It's real quick. Let's just watch it so you get some context. Number 5.
The house in question is number 9 Ravenwood. It's right down the street here. What happened was Kathy Lennon, her husband died a couple of years ago without a will, so the ownership of the property's kind of been in limbo. She has been working the channels trying to get ownership and thought she had a deal worked out, but she says, and neighbors say, that the agreement with Fannie Mae, which is that federal housing agency that's been the subject of controversy, that they did not wait. And the marshals showed up, the city marshals showed up this morning with all these police officers, and the group called Take Back the Land Rochester that's been staging an eviction watch here for the last week and a half. About 5 of their members were arrested for civil disobedience. They tried to blockade the front of the house. What they're concerned about, Rebecca, is that this home is going to be empty now. It had a family living in it. She was able to make the payments, but the government agency wouldn't accept the payments from her. Now the neighbors are worried that this house might fall into the wrong hands. It might be boarded up, maybe drug dealers, and it's a neighborhood that they have been working very hard to rescue.
Look, you got to do civil disobedience all over the country. You know what happened? It worked. It finally got the attention of Congresswoman Louise Slaughter. She's now fighting back now that there's political pressure. Bank of America is saying, what, would us kick a little grandma? By the way, she had children and grandchildren in that house. You know what the bank did when her husband died? They're like, nope, we own the house now. No, you don't own the house. I'm willing to make the payments. No, I don't give a damn. I own the house now. Ha, I'm going to kick out that little old lady. Literally, right? Look, they're going to steamroll you, right? So you got to fight back. Here they fought back, and finally, some degree of justice is beginning to happen. Fight them, man. Don't wait on the banks to do the right thing. Fannie Mae, because they're government. You know what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac did? They just took $17 million in bonuses for their top 2 executives, for their 2 CEOs over the last 2 years. For their top 6 guys, they took about $34.5 million. They don't give a damn about you. The top guys there are looking to siphon off the money just like the big banks, except they're doing it from our high. They already cost us the taxpayers, $154 billion while they kick out little old ladies from their homes. It's sickening, man. Fight back. Civil disobedience. Absolutely. All right, last thing. The one guy who knows a lot about civil disobedience is Martin Luther King. And he also knows a lot about fighting for labor and unions. In fact, he was shot in Memphis when he went to go support a union strike. It was the garbage workers in Memphis, and he was there to support them when he was killed. Now, that's reality. If you watch Fox News, you get a completely alternate version of reality. They're going to bring on Jesse Lee Peterson. You're familiar with this guy. He's Uncle Ruckus. He was on our program. And he's going to talk to Cavuto. They're going to have the most mind-bending conversation you've ever seen. Clip number 3.
The scene in Washington today and New York City right now. Angry union workers saying that they have had enough. That's okay. Here's what isn't. They're using MLK. 43 years to the day after he was gunned down. A union push that to many is over the top.
You know, if it's possible to turn over in your grave, I believe that Dr. King is turning over in his grave today. I was born on a plantation down in Alabama. I participated in the civil rights movement. I did sit-ins. And Dr. King was about uniting the races. He wasn't about dividing them. Dr. King believed that the same law that protected white Americans should protect black Americans. He wanted us to have the freedom to move about in this country. He was about morality and justice. And for Jesse Jackson and others to take his movement, to taste his purpose and use it for personal gain, I have to say, Neil, is nothing less than evil. Dr. King would not agree with this.
Dr. King loved the labor movement, loved the unions. That's not me saying it, it's Dr. King saying it. I've got a million quotes for you guys. I want to show you one more clip from those guys. first, but he said things like, our needs are identical with labor's needs. And he said, we want decent wages, fair working conditions. He said, I do not speak for Negro workers only. A living wage should be the right of all working Americans. He talked about representing poor whites as well as poor blacks. Now they're going to go twist this, that Dr. King would be turning in his grave because people are saying he supported the unions. Look, let me give you one more clip from Fox News, and then I'm going to have more devastating quotes from Dr. King. Let's watch.
But, Reverend, to union workers who say that Martin Luther King would appreciate their fight, when in fact, you know, he went to Memphis, Tennessee to show support, they say, to municipal sanitation workers who were on strike at the time. Now,
Right.
They say that he was sympathetic to the working man and that ipso facto he would be sympathetic to the working man public workers cause today. Do you buy that?
No. Dr. King was sympathetic to the black workers there because they were discriminated based on color alone, because they were black. Dr. King did not go there to give them support so that they could give power and control to the unions.
Okay, now you want to know what Dr. King actually said? Negroes are not the only poor in the nation. There are nearly twice as many white poor as Negro. Therefore, the struggle against poverty is not involved solely with color or racial discrimination, but with elementary economic justice. How clear did he have to be? And I gave you the earlier quote where he said, I do not speak only for Negro workers. Now, you want more quotes. Here's another one, longer one. Negroes in the United States read the history of labor and find it mirrors their own experience. We are confronted by powerful forces telling us to rely on the goodwill and understanding of those who profit by exploiting us. Here's another one. Labor's historic tradition of moving forward to create vital people as consumers and citizens has become our own tradition, and for the same reasons. You want another one, Reverend Peterson? Here's real history for you. Here's Dr. King saying, history is a great teacher. Now, everyone knows that the labor movement did not diminish the strength of the nation, but enlarged it. By raising the living standards of millions, labor miraculously created a market for industry and lifted the whole nation to undreamed levels of production. Those who attack labor forget these simple truths, but history remembers them. Unless you're on Fox News Channel, in which case they say, nope, it's the exact opposite. Martin Luther King wasn't for the labor movement. He wasn't for the unions. Even though there are pages and pages of quotes where Dr. King, as you just heard for yourself, says labor movement was absolutely critical and that he was in favor of it for blacks and whites and everybody else because it stood for economic justice. Don't ever believe anything you hear on Fox News. All right, Young Turks.